Sure. We are recording.
If you can hear me okay. Okay,
Welcome everyone. I'm super excited to introduce Dr. Ratti over here. Dr. Ratti has done his PhD in robotics and AI at the Georgia Institute of Technology, and your master's in electrical and computer engineering. And you have worked with various companies and organizations in the US, India, even UAE, and of course with the government also, such as DARPA, DRDO, and now you're working with the government.
Right, please.
Yes. So we're very excited to have you.
Excellent. Okay. So I think first of all, I'd like to thank Sean. He's been and his father as well, and Superintendent. You've all done a spectacular job of running a big club like this. I have been helping my alma mater in Delhi, which is Bluebells International, and Springdales, and some of the other ones. So they had a recent AI club as well, Virus 2020. This was so this is very refreshing. It's like a deja vu. And it's just, I'm very happy to be on site as opposed to be remote. I see all the setup that you have. This is exciting for me. I was expecting a pure Zoom conversation, and you all said, no, it's on site. I was very happy for it. So excellent. So again, thank you so much. And I think the topic of the discussion and what I'll probably show you on Zoom as well is something of a huge interest for me. In fact, it's my livelihood. We build AI systems for different governments and companies. And my companies, both in the US before and now in UAE and in India, all of them, they service governments and develop AI and computer vision applications for industries. So we work from robots to traffic monitoring, facial monitoring, a lot of other artificial intelligence robotic applications. Heavy on drones in the US, and recently heavy on AI and software on cameras on the roadways and so on. So I'll show you some of the things which might scare you as well, but I think it's also something exciting to watch. So that what I'll do is I'll quickly jump into a conversation with a video to start things off, because we work with the Dubai government, and Dubai Police is one of my favorites. They are extremely pro technology, and the team and His Excellency, the Commander-in-Chief, has a huge passion for students as such. So I'll show you one of the videos of the upcoming initiatives for Dubai using artificial intelligence, including student service. And luckily and incidentally, and with a lot of thanks to Dubai Police, we've been selected at NAYAN as the top company in the region for the same. Our company also won the Startup of the Year at Jayant 2019 last year. So this was a big. Let me start walking you through a presentation that we did. Let me see if locate the best one. I think I'm going to start with a video, largely so you all get a little pumped up about what AI does and things that we do quite locally. And then we'll stem from that to other things that we do outside of Dubai.
So while he's loading it, you want to quickly introduce yourself? My name is Aditya. I'm from India, and I love computers and robotics in general. And I'm looking forward to a future where AI is considered a daily part of our lives, not just in helping the government monitor us, but also like digital assistants lines, and also like AI, where AI is able to take care of the older generations. Yeah.
Excellent.
My name is Ratti. I'm 7 years. I'm looking forward to working with for AI to be in our day-to-day life. Like usually do this.
Excellent.
Hi, my name is Jingwon Chen. I'm in 11th grade, and my interests are in discrete mathematics and big data.
Excellent. That's very cool.
Amongst other things, really interested in AI because AI is very important in society nowadays. It's really also integrating the daily life. People think everything is. We have our serial voice recognition. We have the streets. We didn't see them. So it's very interesting to see how developments in AI will affect this person.
Excellent. Yes. Very cool.
Dennis and Ishan online. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
I am Dennis. I, similarly to everyone here, have an interest in computer science and related subjects. Frankly, I just enjoy most subject matter that tends to be an application of mathematics. At the basis, I like mathematics, and as such, anything related to it would I generally enjoy. For instance, computer science is probably one of the most pure forms of mathematical application, where most of it is just application of high mathematical theories in order to accomplish a task. As such, yeah.
Very good to know. Excellent.
And I'm also similar to most people here. My name is Ishan. I have interest in subjects such as economics, computer science, and mathematics.
Excellent. I think the whole team is very geared up for mathematics, computer science, all the cool subjects.
Yeah, data science is like one of the hot topics right
Yes.
now.
Yes.
It's the one career opportunity right now, which is like in abundance.
Excellent.
Yeah.
This is excellent. So, well, let me jump to it. I want to begin things off by showing you a few things we do for the white bookies.
It's great. Share your screen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. There's the details. I think it's
That's because the video is optimization.
I think there's an option for that, right?
Yeah, that's
Yes, it's better.
okay. So it's working now. You guys cannot hear the audio. Let me know. Share this.
Dubai is the jewel of the Middle East.
you have to share your audio. as well.
Increase in transport
did.
requires more monitoring. Presenting the patented artificial intelligence system, NAYAN. Thousands of cameras can help police act fast, decisively. Police cars, taxis, Uber cars, courier cars, buses, trucks can support the Dubai police to monitor the city. NAYAN will analyze existing video from CCTV, police cars, and mobile cameras. Illegal parking, bad roads, dangerous driving, garbage, and more can be found. Citizens can now support the police. Drivers, trainees, school children of different age groups, elderly people. and smart connectivity. Emergency response can be sent quickly. Police can be deployed quickly. Driving scores of all citizens are submitted to the RTA. Tremendous visual presence of the police on the ground. The most technologically advanced state in the UAE.
So this video is like an early concept before we began the program. This was almost 2 years back. I'm going to show you some of the developments on the program now. So one thing I guess you guys should know is a lot of the AI that we use is focused on computer vision. So all the cameras that you see, even the CCTV cameras facing outside your schools and locations, maybe your smartphones when you drive, we have built an application with the way this that uses your phones to see if there's any hazard on the roadway. If the road is broken or there's an accident, somebody cuts the road very dangerously, causing an issue. You can pick all of that and deliver the information. So this was the concept that we did, and it's all purely was proposed for AI. I'll show you what has become of this now. And this is, let's see. Can they hear the audio? Could they hear the audio?
Can you guys hear the audio?
On the video as well? Oh, did it? Okay.
Dennis, Sean,
Yes.
can you hear the video?
Kind of.
It's clear, but it fades off at like certain points.
That's all. Okay. Let's see. I want to show you one video that we, this is the, so a lot of the computer vision that our work is focused on is largely focused on traffic issues. So with school buses, we started a program for RTA. So we were monitoring school buses and anybody who crosses anywhere near the school bus, and if you're causing a potential hazard or if you're jumping a stop sign by the bus, or the school bus itself is driving in a weird manner, all of that was detected using computer vision. And to give you an example of how computer vision works, let's see.
جوهرة الشرق الأوسط، المدينة الأجمل والأكثر تقدما في الخليج.
This is in
مع
Arabic.
الازديادة الشعبية ازداد معها عدد السكان.
I'm gonna pull up the English version of the same thing.
The sound only comes from this computer, not it's breaking up, he said.
But can you
Is that
jump
because of-
here?
We can make the audio come out from there as well as the Zoom.
That would be better, no?
Yes, that would be fine. Thank you very much. Is your audio turned on?
Yes, I'm pretty good.
Have the English.
You have to play it from there.
Dubai is the jewel of the Middle East, the most advanced city in the Gulf. Increase in popularity also comes with a price of increased population and traffic. Introducing the NAYAN artificial intelligence platform in strategic partnership with Dubai Police. Public-private partnership and government partnership to achieve state-of-the-art security and safety for Dubai. Integrating and processing all existing resources of Dubai Police, bringing together the best of artificial intelligence, analyzing and integrating many different kinds of cameras and technologies. Dubai Police wants to ensure that Dubai is the safest city in the world. People safety and security is the #1 concern of Dubai Police. The city and authorities are working hard to make sure that daily life danger and traffic issues are fixed. Presenting the newest technologies for citizen safety and prosperity. The NAYAN technology will work with police systems and provide state-of-the-art performance.
At the moment, police has not
The
released any
city
of
wants
these
to make
videos.
sure that vehicles
But
are
they will.
driven safely and do not cause danger to others and danger to themselves. The police want to make sure people are comfortable and can drive stress-free, and bad driving can be reduced. Warnings can be issued to people who violate laws. The Dubai Police want to partner with citizens to ensure good training in laws and safety, to educate the people, children, families, and to make sure that people can feel part of the city planning and safety. People and Dubai Police jointly working together to make Dubai the most beautiful, smart, and safe city of the world. Dubai is the oasis, bringing dreams to life. Dubai welcomes you. Dubai.
I think the audio lag might also be because I'm on my 4G. What you just saw, if you saw some of the CCTV cameras, those are the cameras on the sides of the roads. So any of the CCTVs on top of buildings are now getting routed through our platform, and we use AI to do a few things. So let me show you, in essence, the actual field usage of AI. So let's see. Let's go to, so I'll show you. Now this is per se purely computer vision, but you have different fields of AI. You also have language processing. You have some levels of even text to speech, even text completion, which all falls under NLP. Computer vision deals with videos and pictures and such. That's what we work in largely. And that's one of my passions, just to focus on everything that you can see. I want to make it smart. That's personally my goal and focus. And okay, so here's an example of. So this is one of the locations in Port Dubai. This is the consulate area in Port Dubai. So you'll see one of the cameras. This is
Dubai.
This is again pure computer vision. So any video coming from a camera, we can use AI to detect vehicles, detect objects, detect different kinds of things on the roadways. This is using, if you've heard of some of the segmentation tools in AI. So this uses ResNet, it uses segmentation models. You also have different unit lane depth and lane detection models to detect the different kinds of lanes on the roadways. So it's a compendium of a lot of different AI models that work simultaneously on all the videos. And they detect roads, they detect lanes, they detect people, cars, their number plates. even the road signs, all of it is detected, and then we generate a traffic violation. So let me give you another example. Something cool is this. So you'll see, you will probably not see them, but there are drones flying on the way Sharjah Expressway. And these drones are able to see what goes on inside the road. So some of these people, as you can see, they try to cut lanes and they try to then push themselves in your way. So the police want them stopped. And so purely using computer vision, and it's nearly impossible for a task like this to be done by a human operator, because these cars are moving in hundreds per minute volumes. And so the only conceivable way is to use a solution using artificial intelligence that continuously monitors all the traffic and does its job continuously. And then scaling just this part across the whole city is a huge effort. So you'll see a lot of the way police data centers and Etisalat data centers that we work out of. So as you all know, that you need graphics processing units. You need a lot of NVIDIAs and so on, and you have CUDA drivers that you have to install. Doing that on a single machine and then scaling that up to like thousands of clusters working together to perform something at a city-wide level, that's where AI expands a lot. But the trouble is, if you do something wrong at one instance, that expands to thousands of instances. So accuracy on some of these models, and you've probably seen that AI accuracies tend to improve over time. And the system as we have right now is required to be 99.99% accurate. So in AI, usually you've seen like once you start training some of these models, and we get pretty excited when it starts detecting 1 out of, let's say, 9 out of 10 objects, and it feels pretty cool. But imagine detecting 999 out of 1,000, then scale that up 999,999 out of 10,000, like just 99.99% of anything. That's a huge amount of accuracy that you need, because that's a 1,000 rupee challan traffic ticket that will go to somebody. So everyone wants to be sure that that's perfectly accurate. So AI can get very expansive. The focus should be on developing models which are extremely sharp, very accurate. And I think this is the best video that I have so far. This is a tech that's now on your smartphones. So if you have any smartphone, we built AI tech that can actually go on your Android devices. And this video detects roads, detects signs, detects cars, reads their plates, all from your Android device itself. So you don't need a lot of expensive hardware. So this video shows you how your normal Android device or an iOS can do the same thing as these expensive cameras. And one of our entry points in Dubai was because we showed this tech on a smartphone. That's what intrigued the Dubai police, because we were so much cheaper than the government bodies. So they really wanted to push low-level, cheap AI solutions out in the market for themselves. Some of these other examples. Again, I'm showing these videos because they're very common. As you drive or your parents drive on the roadways, you'll see these things happen quite a bit. So that's a taxi in front of us. It cuts the lane last minute or something. So hard for an officer or a camera to keep monitoring everyone. But if everyone can have the application, which the Dubai Police might launch soon, then it can detect not only garbage, difficulties on the roadways, accidents, but some extremely dangerous people and drivers who can cause knickknacks at minimum, otherwise dangerous casualties if left unchecked. So that's one of the other areas. I want to show you the same work we've done in India as well. So if any of you from India or Southeast Asia, you'll understand like the traffic here is remarkably more civilized. Although I would say that here as well you'll see some very dangerous drivers. But let me show you an example of India. India has 1.3 billion people. So one of the interesting things about that is there is no level of technology or police that can capture those number of cars on the roadways. So the tech has to be made robust enough that not even data centers are sufficient. So the tech now is on Android devices in India, and we're working with Delhi Police and a few other police departments across the board. And you'll see that we're able to detect a lot of things on the roadways using your Android device and some low light quantized models or heavyweight models on the back end. Again, I'm happy to discuss if you have any questions on what models we use and things. But this will be so more things on the roadways. I have one presentation I'd love to show you. This was a demo we did for Google. So, Google is an investor in NAYAN. It's invested a huge amount of capital in NAYAN already. And the VP of Google and Managing Director of Google Southeast Asia is also an investor in NAYAN directly. So we get a lot of helpful insights from one of the biggest proponents of AI globally. So this is, I want to show you one video we did as an experiment for Google. This is going to be very exciting. And then I'll open the floor if you have any questions, we can take them up. So let's see. Maybe not this one. It's this one. Yes. So let's watch this video. This is a very cool video. So I'm gonna pause this video and I'm gonna show you before we begin. This is a test. So I'll play the video and try to see how many issues on the roadways that you can find. Keep a count in your head on how many you find, and I'll pause the video. And then I'll run the AI along with you, see how many you found and how many AI found. Right, so this is going to be a cool little
Man versus machine.
man versus machine experiment. All right, so here we go. All right, let's start. All right, you're ready. You can go now. Did anybody take a count? If you saw anything?
5 or 6.
5 or 6? 3? Okay.
In the second part of the video, the traffic signal wasn't working, so
So that was
all of them would have been violations.
so good. So, that's good.
It's a crowd count.
Yes, it does. So let's watch it again. And this time I'll run the video again. See if you missed anything, you can catch it now. Then we'll run the AI after that.
It's scary to look.
So it's almost unimaginable like why humans even do some of the things that AI can do. It's not even fair, I think, at this point, and it's not even conceivable to continue sustainable. So if you saw the power of AI using a smartphone like this, this is extremely useful for monitoring applications on a real daily life. So real world applications of AI are extremely powerful. I think the time is extremely right that we have now computing power both on servers and your computers and smartphones that allows a lot of this computation to be possible. So that's a cool presentation. There was also a finals for Google Launchpad. We were the winners of the Google event there. So we showed how we are. And so this was the application. So essentially, it's a smartphone looking out your car, and it's able to do a lot of things that a lot of high-end devices can do. then now we've expanded more. So you'll see at least on there's a map of NAYAN. You can do this separately as well, but you go on nayan.co and you can see how some of these people, how many drivers across the country, and I'll show you for the bike. So let's have a look at the map. So these numbers are traffic violations we found using AI. That's the amount of revenue we've made for the governments. So now let's toggle the number of drivers. So you'll see these are taxi drivers, Kareem drivers, delivery guys, and usually any of them, even you and I. So when you drive, you can actually detect a lot of issues on the roads and you can report them as a citizen. And the government will now incentivize you eventually to give you points for your help to fix the city and so on and so forth. So anyone can do this on their behalf. But if you, so this is another deployment in Dubai. But if you go beyond to India, it's massive. It's very large, very quickly. Because it's a much bigger area to cover. So AI is ubiquitous, it's very expensive. It has its limits, but I think with near about, like if we set the constraints on what we need to achieve, I think AI does it relatively easily, so long as you have the right algorithms backing it. So good, so I'm nearly done with the presentation part. I'd love to take up any questions if you have any.
Shall we want to from the folks on the screen? You want to ask that first?
It's online. Yeah.
Guys, do you have any questions online?
Out of curiosity, what is the computational power required to actually run all of this or keep track of all the data?
So if you're looking for, are you in competition power, are you looking for how many competitions you do per second, like how many millions of them?
I mean, like, I'm assuming this is all ran on, say, servers. Out of curiosity, how powerful does that server need to be? And an additional question, how much data is constantly flowing into your servers when monitoring all of this traffic data?
Data is, so I'll take the second question first, because that helps with the first one. So one of the trade-offs between AI and data is some of the models, they need a comprehensively large amount of data to get the same performance as some of the more sophisticated people models, which would require somewhat less amount of data. So long as you have a lot of data flowing and you know what to capture and retain, that is the biggest, I would say, the single biggest thing that we focus on as a company. What data should we retain to retrain the existing AI? In terms of the data packets that are getting flown, sourced, I would say about 100 megabits per second of data is coming in continuously using, and the server configuration, I would say, is about 3 servers running 4 1080 Ti's, that's about 11 GB times 4, 44 GB of video memory. And that has some 30 terabyte or video storage that keeps the data, the videos for about 30 days approximately. And if you're looking for speed of computation, it depends on how many data points you're trying to capture. So in case of roadways, for example, you pull up a video. So let's say, let's pull up so this particular video has a lot of models running in parallel. So let's make one of these ones. All right, let's do this. Okay. So some of these models, so this video has about 13 different models that run in parallel. Some of them in cascade, but essentially one essential one is the roadways. So we have to detect the roads. Then you have to detect these lanes. In terms of computation for the road and the lanes, I would say the configuration I just mentioned can process about 10 cameras in parallel. which leads to, so if you have 100 cameras coming in, what it does is, because it's bandwidth choked, so some of the processing happens at night, then you don't have enough incoming traffic. So it's parsed and queued and analyzed accordingly. The second model in this is a vehicle detector. You can use a YOLO, you can use a segment, you can use RCNNs. Usually we keep it light because the volume of data coming in is extremely large. So some abstraction in a TF2 or a YOLO, even the new one YOLO V4, that's quite sufficient. Just give me 1 second, please. Good afternoon. Yes.
Questions?
Yes. Confirm. Confirm. Thank you. Sorry, that was from my bank. They would have blocked my card if I had not confirmed. Sorry. And so the next model is YOLO, again, YOLO V4 if you want to use the newest one, but there's also, then you have the barricade. So there's another model that detects these barricades on the web. Again, that uses a basic segmentation network. So object detection, I would say maximum. A basic level of object detection can give you barricades. The next one is even your lanes, the lines on the roads and what class they belong to, if they're a single dashed line or a solid yellow line. Again, a classification network. You can use models like lane det. You can even use some of the other models. Sometimes I lose track of how many models we are using and who's using what, because the team has now nearly 40 engineers working on it. So, lanes, and then the other thing we do is also road signs. So there's another object detector for road signs. Again, a basic one, a simple one. One of the things that you got to understand is, even though you're getting a lot of this data, the single biggest issue that we face is making your model extremely accurate, which requires constant annotation, re-annotation, refeeding. And one of the biggest challenges is, how do you know a false negative exists? Or because a false positive is easy, you can watch it and you know. Or if you get reports out, you know. But a false negative requires you to manually go in and watch the video again. So one of the powerful backend engines that NAYAN has is a crowdsourced annotation module, which actually does a lot of our false negatives on behalf of us, using a massive deployment of people across a zone or location. We've done an experiment in terms of sheer compute that you need on let's say a GPU cluster size that I just talked about, 4 1080 Ti's NVIDIA. You can cross change that to the 2080 Ti, but that at 11 GB RAM. We ran that against a pure human verification system with a minimum AI, and per cost, we were actually beating it. Pure human-based detection versus a pure AI-based detection. We were actually beating AI in cost, so long as you have verification annotation done in a country like India, or a third world country like Bangladesh, India, Malaysia, and so on. Then you can actually beat AI in some of the things that you can do with humans. But if you try to see the things that you can do in parallel with AI, it's almost nearly impossible for a human to detect all the things together as an AI can do simultaneously on a video. So you need a pipeline of a large number of people to do a large number of things, which then gets more expensive with a human end, and AI is better in that case. But it's very interesting. We have to continuously balance cost versus performance. And sometimes it's human only is what you prefer because they're cheaper. A lot of times AI is cheaper.
So if I may, sorry, jump in just a data point. So one of the speakers Ishan is trying to get is this from a Canadian university, Ajay, I don't remember his last name, but he wrote a book and he's saying it's about the economics of AI. Right? The cost of computing goes down. the application and the benefit the way you were saying, right? So, yeah, so Ishan, do you remember the name of the book you wrote? Prediction Machines,
Yeah.
no? Yeah, yeah.
Prediction machine.
Yeah, it's a fascinating book, yeah. And yeah, sorry, continue.
Oh, good.
So what's the future for this technology? What's the future for this AI? What's the upgrade path? What are you planning to expand on?
So one of the things, if you started to use, if you guys use cloud compute for like Google or Amazon or Azure, any of those?
You use IBM Watson.
IBM Watson.
Yeah.
Okay. So you'll see a lot of these cloud engines. Free credits are great, so long as you can get them. Great. But once you run them into a production commercial environment, then they're expensive, and you quickly find out that having your own server is so much cheaper than using a cloud service with the same. Now, question comes up, like you said, where are we headed? The way forward is not to buy huge machines of your own, rely on a lot of 4G connectivity data and so on. But if you could use ubiquitous machines like this one, these are self-maintained. Like, I don't need to care for your machine. You don't need to care for my machine. But I need to care for my own server. I need to take care of my cloud account. And if that goes wild, I'll get probably like $1,000 bill by morning. We've had that before, like, a $35,000 bill, like, you didn't know it existed until it showed up. So, and then you get smarter with using AI conservatively. But future of this is to make any computing system available anywhere, be able to do something. So if you can only detect a part of this entire video, and your phone device is not capable enough to do a lot, fine, then maybe you do vehicles and our servers will do lanes, and maybe you do signboards, and we'll figure out what kind of signboard that is. Is that a McDonald's signboard, or is that a vehiculist warning ahead signboard? So classification can be done away, maybe detection can be done, or both can be done, but that depends on the device you're holding. So that's
So kind of adding to that question and adding to like the mobiles not being able to process enough, have you considered selling in clients to customers where the footage gets uploaded to servers and then gets analyzed later? Like you said, sometimes the bandwidth isn't enough, so you just analyze the server footage at night. Have you considered just supplying products where customers attach it to their cars and then the footage gets uploaded to your servers?
Yeah. So the applications and even the work we do with Waveless does a lot of post-processing. It's not always live. In the AI world, live is expensive or it's heavily compromised. So you can do one of the two. If you want to do it offline and not do it live, then you can deploy expensive, more heavier models, and that requires you to get that video somehow and then keep it and then analyze it when you can. So with a lot of cameras and drones, especially the drones and the patrol cars, there's nothing live we get. We get a pre-recorded video of 10-hour stretch a day, and then once they talk back, it's uploaded onto the servers, and then the servers process it overnight, and you have results by morning next day. So you're right. It's even on your smartphones. If your phone doesn't allow the compute or your network, you don't want to have 100 of DRAM costs every day for uploading data. And you hold it to get near a Wi-Fi source or something, and that's how we offload data from your phone. So you don't incur the cost, and we still get data, but it's not real time. It's just post dated, predated post dated.
So what ethical issues have you faced either at a personal or business level with the use or even potential abuse of Can you speak up, please?
True.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. So, so what ethical questions, what ethical issues have you faced either at a personal or business level with the use or maybe potential abuse of vision technology?
So, so far, we've not had a lot of issues coming to us, but the things that we are watching and we are seeing now, and I'll show you a video. This is, I think personal identification is somewhat of a big question. But then there's a contrary world of thought that we are already giving away personal information on Facebook and social media in so much volumes that a fraction of it more, is that too much, or a fraction of it less, is that too little? It doesn't even matter. So we've played that idea with some of the other people, but let me show you what happens in our systems. And this is what we did, because these videos could probably get hacked in some manner, maybe in the future. Or a server gets hacked, or a network gets hacked. So you'll see all the people everywhere, they're all like blurred and like kept hidden. So the maximum focus is on the roadways and the cars. So all the people, we keep them hidden in some way. And that's one of the personal identification that you can avoid. Some of the other ones is too much, maybe you could say too much focus on security. And everyone's monitoring everything and everything's getting monitored. It's almost like I'm not entirely sure how the society would be if everything is getting monitored all the time. The only question is like who would do it? It's not a question of whether or not it will happen. It will happen. Only question is who will do it? Will it be in the right hands when somebody does it? Will it be the government doing it? Will it be Facebook doing it? Or will it be like another company, a cloud company like Alibaba or Google doing it? In terms of concerns, I can say some of the concerns we've mitigated is by recording and allowing video records to only happen if you see a roadway. So on that road, because roads are considered public property technically. So if you're doing something personal on a public zone, that's subject to recording and everything. And the other thing we've done is we've kept the applications focused to governments. So the results of it are fed back to the government. So if they institute a law that makes it prohibitive to record anything on the road, but they can still absorb the data back for themselves, so which is sort of soft. But it leads to a lot of other questions, privacy being one. In my personal opinion, we've compromised enough on it already with things that lie in the palm of our hands. I think this is not as much of an addition. It can be, but it can be.
And, like giving fines for a car is pretty easy compared to giving fines to a human, for example. He is jaywalking, right? So how do you capture that and how do you give a fine to that person? So I guess that's where the privacy.
So we, as a company, even the police, we told them at the very beginning that we will not do people identification.
Yeah.
We will only do vehicle identification. But as a company, also because Google is a backer and they don't do a lot of people capturing and sending it out to the agencies. But there are companies who do a lot of facial recognition, and they do they grab a person's footprint and then you extract the face and then you detect. Let me show you, like we've done a face mask detection. So when COVID began, at the onset there were huge laws. If you remember, like if you're found outside, it's like 5,000 dirham penalty. If you're in a car, everyone has to wear a mask. At that time, we launched some of the videos and we gave some. Let me see if I can find a video of face masks. But I can take out other questions while I pull this up.
Talking about like privacy concerns and ethical concerns, how can you ensure that you're being transparent to the customers about like what kind of data you're taking or you're keeping in your records, and like to what
So usually the data stays. So as you read the data, you analyze it and then you digitize it. So you technically create a database of what you captured, but not always do you want to keep a picture of the person that you captured. You may just want to keep, okay, we captured a person at that time at this location. But you necessarily don't want to have a video of the person showing his face and everything else. You just retain the data point. And then same for vehicles, you probably want to just know what vehicle was where and what did they do. In case of police, they want to have maybe evidence of a video so they can find them with an evidence. But other than that, you can probably not save a lot of data that can be compromised in some way. You want to keep it, digitize it into data points and retain the data points and then delete the source. So that could be one way to avoid leaks and unwanted use of the data, or trouble for yourself if somebody comes digging, they say, oh, videos of everyone and so on, what do you do? And so you say, no, just go to a database, like I don't even know if this is correct or not. It's just, and they can also not verify if it's correct or not, because there's no source anymore, there's no video. Also, when you start collecting video as a video analytics company, these video files are exceeding tens of terabytes a day. There's no human way we can even save them. Yeah, even the waiters cannot save them. It's just too expensive to save. So they also burn, they collect. If they want to retain, they retain. Otherwise, in 3-6 months, they delete. Depends on the capacity. We're a smaller company, so we delete in like 2 days.
Also, how do you train your AI? Like, what kind of data do you feed? Like, I get how using like, you can train your AI at the beginning with a few examples of, oh, look, this car is crossing without a blinker on, or the car's headlights are blown out. But how do you attain that like peak of accuracy with the AI, especially since it's so hard to know all the time. That like, since there's so much data, it's hard to be so sure that all of it's accurate.
Yes.
How do you train that data properly?
And when you started, we use a supervised model or unsupervised model, which is something else that we did on the
True. So, I think usually everything is kept supervised. Usually, always. So it's like a production environment. So even in factories, if you understand like factory manufacturing, AI manufactures data points. So you have an assembly line with different operations happening on that data pipeline, and then out comes a result at the end. So each section of it can have an accuracy. Like even humans would have a certain accuracy. In a car production line, you might not punch a welding hole, and that might lead to a defect in the field eventually at one point in the car. Same with AI, like you cannot get the AI to be 100% accurate every single point. So you have to keep it supervised all till its end of life. If you leave it unsupervised, then you have to deal with its inaccuracy. But you can do what production environments do is what you, like commercial factory operations, they don't always monitor everything, but they sample. So they subsample a million data points, you subsample maybe 1,000, which you can physically supervise really monitor. Which means you're assuming that the spread is diverse and robust enough that those 1,000 subset can give you an estimate of what the other million is doing. So supervision is required. And able to continually train it, how it becomes better. Limitations are one, what do you train it on? Because once you have a decent fit of your model, if you feed it the same data, you run the chance of overfitting it. And then if you get a diversely separate data, you might run the chance of having a negative on even an obvious data point. So you want to bring up the model to a high enough level. Pushing it higher sometimes requires either a model change or having a subsequent model. So you build a model for speed, or you build a model for volume, and then you build a model for accuracy, like a subsequent cascaded model for accuracy. But this one, you have it deep enough, and it's getting very limited data. Like the big boy is like getting the entire feed, everything, and it has enough AI and cheaper, faster models that's cutting and chopping and bringing everything that you need. Then you pass a deeper sort of a model, which maybe an 11 layer or 12 layer model, which is very deep and very focused. So this model already knows that I'm going to get a car, not a truck, not a bus. I will only get a car. And this car will be of a certain dimension, will never exceed this dimension because my big brother already did that work. And now within this car, you're looking for a person inside the car. And if you see a person, then extract this person. Now you can make systems extremely accurate so long as you have a very sharp focus point for your AI to do certain things. The more classes you add to the same thing, hoping to get more, the more you are allowing some level of inaccuracy in your model. But fewer the classes, you can train it very deep in those few classes. And sort of sense that. But I would say smaller is better, or actually not smaller. I would say more focused output is better than a wide focused output when you're attacking higher levels of accuracy. If you're driving higher levels of volume throughput, faster, cheaper models, even quantized models can give you that throughput. If you're driving accuracy, then bigger models, heavier models, more layers, and more refined data feeding in can give you those accuracy. So cascade both of them and layers one up.
I have one question regarding the point you mentioned about incentivizing the public on getting the data to the police, for example. How does that work? Is it just blind data, or if they report any incident that helps the police?
So essentially, one of the things we've learned is do not allow a person to do anything. Don't allow them to record, don't allow them to use the tech. You should operate without them handling it or getting in the way or doing anything deliberatively. Should be handled on a back end or offhand completely.
Right.
The more they tamper with it, chances are, one, they would not give you always what you need. Second, it might cause a distraction for the person. Third, you might come up with a way to share that information with someone else. You don't want any of those. So in our system, we do not turn on unless we see a road in front of you, and a person has to allow it to turn on. Like Amazon and Google listen to you using their apps as they have in terms of, so we don't turn on unless you physically allow it to turn on. And once you turn it on, you cannot do anything except turn it on. That is it. The video as it records and as it saves, everything is done fully automated. It's chopped up fast, encoded, and encrypted. So even if you open a file, that's not one file. There are 100 files. A single file is chopped up into 100 files. Each one of them is compressed and encoded and encrypted. You don't know which one put together will form the eventual video. The checksum doesn't match, your video doesn't reproduce. And once you have a network connection, everything gets offloaded, your system is empty out completely. So that way we avoid a person tampering with the data. But if your phone detects something of importance to the police and you in fact did report a garbage dump on the road to cause an accident, then points come back to you from the backend servers. So they incentivize you for reporting, thank you. But they don't collect any information about you. Because it's one of the things we did with police as well. They wanted us to see the person, and we said under NAYAN, we will only watch a road, not watch the person behind the wheel or anything on the. And if we don't see a road, we will not even start recording. And there are 3 levels of check: one on the phone device, one on the back end. Then final, once it's going out, there's a human check to make sure nothing goes out that has a person identified.
So you're studying the world in the US, India, and UAE, and with all this pretty much technology. So as we are preparing to go on to college and pursue the futures, do you have, is there any advice you give to us?
I would highly advise being extremely focused on one thing. At the time when you're learning so much, it's good to absorb. You want to learn NLP, you want to learn computer vision. Inside computer vision, you want to learn a lot of different things. That's excellent to build a foundation. So you have a cross-disciplinary background. But once you start going beyond your bachelor's and getting up to US University or Canadian UK, once you get there and you start understanding the breadth of engineering, and if you want to go for your master's, go extremely focused. A lot of people, like we decided as a company, we will only focus on the roadways. We go anything outside of a road, even though we can, it's not that difficult, but we would not. Because the better we get at roads, the tougher it is for somebody else to come and say, well, we beat you in roads. And so the same applies in learning as well. You already know what you want to be. Never too late to go refine at an early age. It's like an Olympic athlete. He's only ran 100 meters all his life, so there's no chance he will lose 100 meters. If you ask him to swim, it's probably not going to be as good, even though he knows how to swim. He might be decent enough. I would say persistence. Don't let it. Don't allow personal inhibitions or boredom or things like that to get in your way. Try to find ways of making things that you're working on be exciting and interesting. Because everything is interesting. It's just how you look at it. Sometimes it's somebody else doing it in a different way. It makes you look that maybe that thing is more interesting than the thing that you're working on. Once you jump over, somebody comes along and what you were doing does it in a way that, oh my God, that's so much more exciting, and you try to come back again. So it's just the way you present your work is also important. So the way you present it, the way you think about it, it's recentering your mind that whatever you're working on becomes interesting. Then others want to do what you're doing, not the other way. So yeah, those would be something.
How many people are working in your organization, and what type of education and qualifications do they need?
Can you speak up?
Oh yeah,
You heard it?
I heard it. Yeah.
How many people work in your organization, and what type of qualification and education do they need?
So we have everybody scaling from interns to freshmen to people with a few years industry experience to people with 10, 15 years industry experience. You need a mix of all. Because some of the most senior people may not dive into code as much. They don't want to stay up late and code it out properly, but they do know what will work, what will not work. So look, and some of the younger people, they want to dive into code because that really excites them. See something generated next morning and it's working, that's really exciting. So some of the younger people, our team is about 25 engineers, and I would say half of them are about 24, 25 or younger, years old and younger. The rest of them are, I would say another 25% are between 25 and 30, and the rest 25% are above 30. Usually in our team, we are unbiased on how we try to get people on board. If a person is good, it doesn't matter what their age is. Some of the youngest people in our company are now more paid than some of the senior people in the company. And within 2 years of their graduation from their undergraduate, they were making more than a person with 30 years experience, 30 years age and so on. I think if you have the right kind of people or supervisors monitoring that, and they are already very good, they recognize talent no matter what the age.
Thank you.
All right, I think that's all we have time for today. Thank you for coming, Dr. Ratti. Today we learned about him. We have learned about the concept of NAYAN and and what it's doing for us and the government. We have learned about the computation. We have learned about the uses, the ethics, the implementation, how the system functions, the stats reported, and at the end we focused on how we can be part of the future of this company and other companies going forward. Thank you for coming, and a round of applause for Dr.
By the way, I was gonna show you guys face masks. So if you drive your car and you're not wearing a face mask,
This is small.
oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. Thank you. So,
Oh, the face mask, yes.
yes, so if you're ever wondering if you might ever get a face mask violation, so the systems on the roadways, they already detect face masks. So let me show you this vehicle. This guy is probably not wearing a face mask, but he's in his car alone. But this is from the time when face mask violations were still allowed. So this is actually, oh, this is actually fresh. It's just got caught right now. So let's go back to June. So even from a distance, some of these cameras are, you won't believe, but this camera is looking at this car 1 kilometer away. So you won't even see the camera at a red light anymore. Like some of our cameras can read your license plate and see you inside a car from 1 kilometer away. It's really impossible to tell where that's getting caught from. But at the time of extremely high levels of pandemic, they just wanted everything controlled, stopped. Like the levels of people not wearing masks to fall down very fast. So this video, this guy is probably wearing a mask, not wearing a mask. Hard to tell, but let's watch the video. Yeah, I see. So this is Sheikh Zayed. This guy. Yeah, this is Sheikh Zayed, and this camera is 800 meters from the road. So it's on top of a building.
He was doing the camera's field of vision for like half a second.
Half a second, yeah. So it's fairly exciting to see how much you can do with computer vision. But we as a company, we also don't want to invade privacies as much.
I think it's really exciting because one of our strands for our AI curriculum is self-driving and autonomous driving. We actually have a real-time car which is supposed to be here. It's not here at the moment.
Yeah.
So I think that's something which we can use for test driving, test piloting, maybe just with the smartphone application of NAYAN, and see how well it works at a simulated city that we're planning to do with our playground over there. So that's where our collaboration can start, and then we can go ahead from there to have some more students working on that.
Talking about self-driving cars, let's say in the future self-driving cars become a mainstream thing. Wouldn't there no longer be a use for your product because it kind of depends on human error and catching said human error? So what would you consider for that?
So all the algorithms that go in a self-driving car are getting implemented from our computer vision now to detect what's not correct. So once you have self-driving cars, those algorithms will be used to detect what is the correct way of doing them. So a lot of the algorithms we design can be used for autonomous cars as well. So when you drive, detecting lanes and keep knowing if other people are within the lane or not, you flip it. You drive as if you're driving within the lane. So you can actually reverse it. But right now, since there's no car on the road and human violations are abundance, so it's very profitable to like find violations from a business standpoint. Pure research, like we started doing some autonomous car level driving performance, but then we saw Carnegie Mellon. You have some of the other companies that Sensodyne, you have Dynavision, some really billion-dollar companies. They're doing a stellar job in building AI for autonomous cars. And they're probably, but still not getting their vehicles on the road yet. So but once they do, then You just build algorithms for them.
So would you consider partnering with the AI software company in the future?
Yeah. Or we start doing other things as well. I think autonomous cars on the roads are probably still, I would say, safety about 5 years away, 5 to 10 years away at minimum. 5 to 10 years away means a few $1 trillion of revenue on the market. So as a business, we'd rather want to tap in that few trillions, some part of it. 0.001% of it is very good. And eventually when the market gets warm enough, big enough, then you start building algorithms for autonomous cars. So we'll probably have one of our algorithms be allowed to do on a smartphone. You plug in your USB, put this on the robot, and the robot will probably start driving autonomous, not cut lanes and so on. So you can do the other things.
I think the other aspect of the story is the legal framework needs to be there for monitoring accidents caused by a self-driving car, right?
Yeah.
So that's another point.
Yeah, well, at that point, the fines could be heavier if you have an autonomous car and it's trying to violate it somehow. There would
But
be
who
a
is at
heavy-
fault is the question, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Anybody from the
Does anyone online have any questions?
Denise has a question.
No, I don't have a question.
Oh,
Please
okay.
say.
All right, thank you so much. It was wonderful. It
Absolutely.
was
Thank you so much.
amazing, insightful for us all here to learn and to see in action what we are learning in the classroom. That's the most important part of it.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a future of this small strand of AI. And to see the focused aspect of what machine learning and computer vision can do is really amazing. So thank you so much for taking your time out and coming here.
Absolutely. And I'm always curious, you have a split system. Some students come to school and the other ones stay at home.
Correct.
Is
Yeah,
that
we have blended
50-50. Weekly or daily?
daily.
Daily. Excellent.
Well, technically our school runs on, so our school has 2 days where we have 8 blocks, sorry. 1 day is 4 blocks, so it's A, B, C, D, G, H, E, F. And then, so group A comes for 2 days because it takes all 8 classes. And group B comes for 2 days. And then group A comes for 1 day on Thursday. And we go for the weekend, the second week.
It's extremely complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, it's not possible for a human to do the timetabling for the school.
Very cool. Well, thank you again, Dennis and Ishan as well.
Thank you guys for joining. Thank you so much.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.